Welcome. This is David Boles, Human Meme. Today's topic, choice between red or blue. We, as cogent and obsequious human beings, like to have choices, even though things, life itself really, are often schemes against our better intentions. Schemes to make choices appear to be available when there's really only one right answer. Right and wrong, good and evil, blue or red, knowledge or isolation, anger or tranquility, Republican or Democrat, black and white, hot and cold, all choices, right? Yes, I know you get the idea. So we, as human beings, want at least two choices, because otherwise there's no choice. But we never want more than 3 or 7 choices, because too many choices overwhelm us and make us inert. 3 choices are the perfect storm for the human condition. And to understand why, listen to my Human Meme podcast on this very topic. Omne Troium Perfectum, the rule of 3. And that podcast has more information on Sigmund Freud and his very fine essay, Theme of the 3 Caskets, Gold, Silver, and Lead. Okay, so we know we like 3s and 7s as choices. But when it comes down to it, we really only usually have 2 choices. And one of those 2 choices is so bad that we just pick the one option that will hurt us the least. So 2 choices really just boils down to one choice. Or no choice at all. And in that false equivalency between choosing and divinity and self-determination, we find our outermost choice. And that is the choice between living and dying. Ah, yes, being and not to being. And while we all like to think living is not as painful as dying, some of us know better. And we are always drawing the bright line between life and death, who we are and what we presume to be. And that active choice between life and death informs every action and reaction of our day. Do I go to the doctor to have this red splotch on my arm tested? Or do I just burn it off myself? Physician, heal thyself. Even though I am only board certified via the internet by reading medical stuff. And do we then just hope for the best, as my self-taught and ultimate determination of dermatologist in training? Does that label look for meaning beyond the epidermis? Don't answer that. So, we choose to acknowledge, and what we actively choose to shoo away are the very beliefs that become us. Are we being wary or merely hypochondriacal? Are we slick or are we just loony from lack of attention and caring? And this, my friend, is where the fine line between self-introspection and self-absorption becomes a choice. Ah, but is it a false choice? Am I myself, or am I part of a larger group? Where does my loyalty to me begin? And where does my family of belonging end? And each and every question leads to a determination and an answer. And yes, my friend, there are wrong answers in each scenario. We need only look beyond our windowsill to see just what sort of bad choices all of humanity rings against us. And yes, we know there are good choices and there are bad choices, but we are not always the wisest one to choose the difference. What may be best for me harms society and breaks no law, but it does bend morality against me in the long arc of a life. And then who is wrong, and who is merely misunderstood? And we tend to commonly agree that killing each other is bad, and there's no escape from the inexcusable murder. But what about the other times, when we can and do kill, and get away with it? We may claim war or self-defense in killing, or we may blame the cover of darkness for a death. All as our morality is obscured by the real aggressor, ego, and terror. And then we have to live with the consequence of one life being taken in the effort to preserve another. And there, right there, we have collectively made yet another harrowing choice in the never-ending stream of human life. Choosing red over blue, or black over white, or right over wrong. It all means everything and nothing. It all depends on which side of the decision you stand that creates context and compunction and moral guilt and mortal doubt. And just where do we stand? One side or the other? Above or below? Alongside or across from? Are there as many angles as excuses? We yearn for the plentiful choice, and when presented with a multitude of endings, we pick the one most self-satisfying. But only when nobody else is looking. For if we choose wrong in the company of others, then their shared values kick in to condemn our wrong choice. And the madding crowd around us grows and places an end to the freedom of mind, one so readily enjoyed. And so, my human meme friend, in the arc of our long view, we circle around the earth and keep going in our ache to become something better, something worthwhile, something worth remembering. And yet, soon enough, we arc back around to ourselves from behind, closing the circle we created in front of us with hope of being, and we sent that split of us out into the wilds of the world for answers. Some closed arcs have meaning and wisdom won along the way, while other circles of us return interrupted, incomplete, and messy. And we may think we're done and accomplished when we are not. We have only delayed the inevitable retribution of the energy of the world that will seek a leveling ground without us. And in that overall scheme of our reckoning, we can lose ourselves and escape our hope and pray that the wisdom of others might just save us from ourselves. Incomplete circles around us create meandering lives that have no beginning, center, or completion. Choices go unmet. Questions begin with answers, and we are forever lost in the frost of the wilderness of never belonging and of never connecting. And it is in that very risk to the soul that beckons us home, calling in all the energy we have left to spend, looking for a location and paying it forward by putting it down. And in the end, we always know the choice of this life was never really ours. Our dreams belong to others. Our visions are genetic. Our DNA withholds the barriers within us. And we're just here for the ride, to pay attention and to try to learn just how a cycle sets off a circle within a circle within a scheme. And in that everlasting spin of a lifetime, we create a Faraday cage that protects, predicts, and projects just how freely we might flow beyond the imaginary whispers of the boundaries of the false choice and the condescending whimper. Thank you for listening. Be a human meme.